All righty. I think we going. There we go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everybody doing? I hope your week good. It's officially the kickoff to the weekend, right? So before we jump into anything, I just want to remind everybody that this is a very family friendly oriented channel, and I appreciate you being decent on here. Excuse me. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches will boot you out of here because we are not going to have it. All right. So that being said, nope, no tuna tonight. No, no tuna tonight. Actually, I just took a hit of Gatorade, so I don't know why that would cause me to burp, but it did. But of course, I have my green tea for the live stream. So yeah, I don't know. That was weird. Anyway, uh, all right. So we're going to be talking about complete and total control. So before we jump into that, I wanted to real quickly hold on a second. I wanted to look at something. Okay, so I did a video the other day over at Heavenly Hills Homestead, and a lot of you ended up going over and subscribing to their channel, which I do appreciate that. And I spoke with him afterwards, and I should have warned him. I should have given him a heads up. I did not give him a heads up. Um, but we talked about. He goes, "Yeah, I had these people come over, and they were talking all kinds of crap about you." And I'm like, "Oh my god, dude!" I said, "I'm so sorry." I said, "I said I should have warned you that probably the trolls would come over there and try to talk crap." And so I guess one of the things I just, which I found this humorous, okay, and I had to bring this up because he was like, and I'll give you what his response was. He said, "Yeah, people were like, he's gonna, come over there and learn all kinds of stuff from you, and and he'll use you to learn stuff." And so he goes, "Do they not think that I'll come over to your place and learn well?" He says, "I don't get that. Shouldn't we be learning from each other?" And I'm like, "Well, we should. I think that that's the idea, if we come together and he has better skills with growing and he has little tricks here and there that he can share, I think that's good for everybody." That's just me. That's just my take on it. So, um, but yeah, it was. I was like, I said, "Man, I'm so sorry that I didn't warn you ahead of time. That most likely, of course, then he was like, yeah, somebody else was like, yeah, he censors all his stuff, and he takes people that say constructive criticism as being trolls, and he'll block them." And so I just told him, I said, "Listen, it's your channel. You can do what you want to do over there. But if you get tired of hearing them run their mouths, just block and delete." I said, "It's really, really easy." He goes, "Yeah, I don't want that on my." I mean, he's a young channel. He's got less than 2,000 subscribers, so he's a relatively new, to YouTube. So I was trying to help him out a little bit, show him a few things that can, help him with his channel. And I even said to him, I said, "So have you had to deal with, trolls yet?" And he's like, he goes, "Not really." I said, so I had to tell him, I said, "Listen, I got told very, very early on in my YouTube journey by a more experienced YouTuber at that point in time. And they had told me, they said, you have not made it in YouTube until you have trolls." He goes, "Once you have trolls that hate you and they're like the most dedicated ones to your channel," he goes, "then you know you've made it on YouTube." And so that's what I said to him. I said, "So I said, once you get a troll, I said, you'll know." So I think that what I find amazing is when you meet people and you're like-minded and you decide you want to work together and do that type of stuff, that people lose their mind. They lose their mind. I love when they say that I have a cult. I like that one. That's one of my favorite ones. So Prep Rebel, I have 143 subs and I've been hit by trolls already. Yeah, it's It happens. Well, he does a gardening, primarily growing and gardening channel. So, but yeah, it's I see what kills me. This is what kills me about YouTube. All right, I mean, think about the extreme censorship on YouTube, right? I mean, there's certain things we can't openly discuss on YouTube, but yet these degenerate low lives can come onto anybody's channel and harass. And I can, from personal experience, I can tell you, if you report them, I will tell you exactly what YouTube does about it. You know what YouTube does about it, guys? In the chat, what do you think YouTube does about it when you report somebody for trollish behavior and hateful talk and stuff like that? What do you think YouTube does about that? Thank you, Nostradamus. You are absolutely correct. Nothing. They do nothing. So I learned, obviously, that you have to use the delete and block button. I will tell you right now, I have no problem with constructive criticism. I don't. If somebody's going to come on to my channel and be respectful and say, hey, have you thought about this or maybe doing it this way? But when somebody comes on my channel and tells me what an a-hole I am and that I'm this, that, and the other thing, you're getting blocked. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. So like I said, I find it interesting. I find it amusing. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean? It's just that's part of the thing. But they're like, so I mean, the crap that we have to go through when we're putting up a video. For those of you that don't upload videos, I mean, there's no this, there's no that, there's no the other thing. But yet these trolls can come on, and the trolls may work for YouTube to try to discourage creators that don't follow the narrative. You know what, Okie Forge, you could be right. You absolutely could be right. But it's just, to me, I honestly, yeah, if we go against the rules, we get a strike. But these individuals, they make a new account, they come back, it's ridiculous. But it is what it is, and that's part of the game that we have to deal with and play with on YouTube. So you just have to kind of suck it up, unfortunately. All right, so I felt bad for him because he had no idea. He had no idea. So um, you know, it was that's one of the things. Old Mutt says most skilled preppers that I know are more than willing to pass on their skills. Well, I think that should be part of it, Old Mutt, and I agree. I agree. I mean, the people that I have, worked with or helped with, or somebody's helped me, we work together. We share information. I'm going to tell you right now, the day that you think that you know everything, you're either an idiot, okay, or you're dead. That's when you stop learning. When you think you know it all, you've either died or you're an idiot, because you can always learn. You can always pick up new skills. There's people will bring something to the table that you didn't think about. I'm going to give you a great example of that. So we're going to talk about this for a second, and then we're actually going to get into the topic here in a moment. Talking to another gentleman. I talk to a lot of people, folks. I mean, I talk to a lot of people all the time. And one of the things that he said, and I'm going to actually tell you what kind of motorcycle it is because I actually have it in my search bar here. Let's see. TW200. It's a Yamaha. Okay. TW200 Yamaha. It's got the bigger, fatter tires, and it is like an off-road bike, off-road motorcycle. So, like if you're, ripping it up through the woods or whatever, that type of thing, that's what you would want to be on. So we were talking about that, and he was saying, he goes, number one, he says, how many people know how to ride motorcycles? And I go, not a lot. Either you do or you don't, right? I mean, it's a passion for some people. Some people can't stand it. Some people have no interest in it, whatever. But he was saying, he goes, SHTF happens, and you got to get someplace, and the roads are going to be clogged. There's, when people think they're going to get out of the cities, it's going to be a parking lot. He said, but if you have that motorcycle, it's a 196cc motorcycle. So it's not a great big huge engine. He said, if you have that motorcycle, you can get around everything. You can cut through, get around, get where you want to go, and you can have a fairly decent sized pack on that you have on with you to go. Yeah, it's a dirt bike, JJ. And so he was saying that that would be a great prep item to have. And I will be honest with you guys, hadn't even thought about that. Hadn't even thought about that. But after talking to him, I was like, no, that's actually pretty smart. That's actually pretty smart. And eventually you're going to be out of gas. Everybody's going to be out of gas. But again, the majority of people have no clue on how to ride a motorcycle. So if there's a motorcycle sitting there with the keys in it, they're not even going to bother because they don't know what to do. Okay, so it's just some food for thought, something to think about. And I thought it was a really really cool thought process of what he was talking about. And yeah, Homicide V Star 250 again. Yeah, something that you can either ride on the road or off road. Now, some of them obviously right now you are not allowed to ride on the road, but in an SHTF situation, all bets are off at that point. So just I thought really interesting thought process. So me and him were having a conversation the other day, and I really really like where his mind goes and what he thinks about. And so again, sharing information, helping each other. I think it's so important for anybody. And if I can teach you something, and you can teach me something, that's just a win-win for both of us. And that's just my opinion. So, but all right, so now that we're done with that, so we're at 238 in the chat. We're at 92 on a thumbs up. If you have not shot that thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so to show support for the channel. Thank you very much ahead of time for that. Also, it makes a huge difference with the algorithms as well. Thank you very much for that as well. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications. All right, so we are going to talk about complete and total control. Not bad. We're only 12 minutes in and we haven't started with the topic yet. Delicious. All right. I don't know if a lot of you knew or not. As of August 1st, you can no longer buy incandescent light bulbs, right? It only has to be like LED light bulbs and stuff like that. It is now going to be illegal uh, per the government that you can no longer use those light bulbs. You can't, well, you could use them if you have them, but you are no longer allowed to purchase them. So if you have those type of light bulbs, you have what you have, and that'll be the end of that. All right. So, but so there's one aspect of government control. Now, the reality is the majority of people that use LED light bulbs, can you guess? I mean, we're gonna play a little game. How many of you can guess what group of people use, for the most part, LED light bulbs? The majority of people right now, before this ban went into effect, who was using LED light bulbs? John Drake, JJ, high end, the rich. Yeah, the rich. Preppers to a degree because they were trying to, it doesn't use as much using an LED as opposed to an incandescent light bulb. But the majority of people using LED light bulbs are the rich because they're expensive. They're expensive. Not most people. No, no. If you look at, there are, all classes are using them. So I'm not saying that all classes aren't. Okay, but your elites, your wealthy, are the ones that are using them the most because they can afford them. It doesn't hurt to buy something like that. All right, but anyway, so that's one of the things that is going on with that right now. So that's interesting thing. So what is that about, right? Is it saving the planet or is it about control? I would argue it's the latter. It's a You look at what they're doing. They have to change. Well, like if you in California, like the generator that I have out here, it'll say right on there, not for sale in California. So absolutely, it is all about control, telling you what you can and cannot do. They're changing your generators, they're changing your hot water heaters, they're changing your air conditioning, uh, getting away from gas stoves like in New York State. If you are building and you're building a high rise, it has to be all electric now, cannot be gas stoves and stuff like that. It all has to be electric. So again, that's about control. Absolutely, controlling all of that. And here's, I mean, I try to be as green as I possibly can be. Right? I live off grid. I have my own solar system. So to me, but for me, what that is for me is about independence. It's not relying on that system, and being able to take care of what my needs are on my own. Like right now, these lights that you see on here right now, that's all from my solar system. So the batteries charge up. I have plenty of power to work with. Like I said, this time of year, I don't even think about it. To be honest with you, I don't even think about it. Now, next week will be the week that I'll fire up my generator, let it run for 5-10 minutes, and just make sure everything's copacetic. So when it comes to that time that I need to use it, it's ready to go. So those are things that you got to think about as well. But and we had that discussion, right? Learning from our mistakes, and I believe that it's really, really important that you share the mistakes. I'm going to tell you what, you watch, if you're any prepper channel, I don't care which one is out there, if you're watching a prepper channel and they've never made a mistake, you've never seen a mistake on there, they've never sat down with you in a live stream or talked about it on their channel, we're like, hey, you know what, I screwed up, I made a mistake, right? If they haven't done that, then they're a liar. Okay, because nothing ever goes 100% smoothly. I screwed up big time last year, and I was the first to admit it with my solar system, counting on a solar system. I had 48-volt system, didn't have to worry about it all spring and summer and into the fall. And then we got into November, and I hadn't fired up my generator in 6 months. And then I ended up having a problem, uh, you know, with getting everything squared away and getting that generator going. That was my own negligence. I shared that with you. I was ridiculed. Other channels that I know made videos. The unprepared prepper. How can you call yourself a prepper when you're not ready? My thing is this: we all make mistakes. The most experienced prepper out there is going to make mistakes. Period. They're going to make mistakes. Now, the important thing is, do they learn from those mistakes? Okay, do you learn from that? And I will tell you this, and what did I say to you guys last year? I said, I screwed up, it'll never happen again. So every month, she, like when we got into the spring and then I didn't have to rely on a generator, every month I fire up that generator. I make sure everything's good, so when I need it, when it gets to that point where I need it, it's ready to go. But I believe that it's important to share that information with you guys, because if I share you with what I screwed up on, then you won't do it. So when you get your system set up and you have your generator, you're going to go out there no matter what, and you're going to fire up that generator, and you're like, okay, you know what, this works, that doesn't work. Yeah, I learned over the winter really fast. Absolutely. My first time this last winter, wintering in a camper in the wintertime, and I put off skirting this camper, right? Everybody knows that story too. I put it off. We had that real cold streak. It was only like 3 days where we were really cold up here. Uh, I couldn't get this camper above 50 degrees because it wasn't skirted. As soon as that weather warmed up just an iota, I skirted this camper. That became priority number one. I put plastic on the windows. I put, the cloth on the windows. You know, I, that's never happening again. Okay. I'm never going to be in that situation again. So again, by showing you, okay, here I am, the big dummy, I screwed up once again, you hopefully learn from me and you don't make those same mistakes that I made. You know what I mean? So it's just you live and you learn, you know. And I had people saying, you got to get that camper skirted. You got to get that camper skirted. And I kept going, oh, yeah, no, no. It's on the list. I plan on doing it. I'm going to get it done. And, you know, other things come up and it gets put on the back burner, it gets put on the back burner, and then you pay. You know what I mean? You pay for that mistake. So, again, you know, learning from our mistakes, figuring out what we did wrong. And yeah, learning the hard way. I'm going to tell you guys, I am an expert at learning the hard way. But the best part is, and again, and I've talked about this before, and I think this is really, really important. Now, right now, is the time to make those stupid mistakes. Do you know why is the time not, or now is the time to make those stupid mistakes? Because right now it's not life and death. It's not life and death. So once we get into that SHTF situation, if I'm just trying to figure things out, what works and what doesn't work after SHTF happens, I'm screwed because then it is life and death. And I don't want to be in that position where I get caught with my pants down, if you will, the metaphor, right? Uh, I want to be walking into it and going, you know, let's figure it out. Learning during SHTF could be deadly. Yep, absolutely, Asif. Thank you very much for the donation, and you're 100% correct. 100% correct. That's how we learn. We learn by doing. We learn by making mistakes. Jill Bear says, "Love your beard." Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's getting there. It's growing long, pretty good now. I had to trim the sides up though. That was like getting like way. Otherwise, if the sides were still growing, this whole thing would be like this big, and it would. That's too much. So I keep the goatee part long. So anyway, but you know that's important. You have to live it, and that's how you learn. You know, just like with the solar guys. I mean, I have made a ton of mistakes with the solar, a ton of mistakes. But when I came down here, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And so I was prepared for that, you know. And so, you know, and again, you know, tweak here, a tweak there, this goes wrong, that goes wrong. You figure it out. You know, I spent a lot of time in New York and you know, a few times down here calling Brian and saying, "Man, I got this issue. You know, what could it possibly be?" And you know, he walks me through things. And so, you know, I'm going to give you a good example. I told you I keep one battery unplugged at all times. Okay, so I have two batteries always plugged in. The two smaller ones I rotate. So I'll keep one plugged in for a month, and then I'll unplug it, and then I'll plug in the other one. All right. And the reason for that is if there for some unforeseen reason there's a system shutdown, the whole system shuts down, you have to have a 48-volt battery to reboot your system. Well, if you have all three of your batteries tied into the system and the system shuts down, okay, it ain't doing you no good. You can't reboot it. By keeping one battery unplugged and charged, you have to make sure it's charged. Uh, that I'm surprised, really. How did you handle the camper in New York? Well, I see. When we were in New York, we were only in the camper until November in New York, if you guys remember. And then after that, we were into, you know, the building. So we had gotten like when we got the wood in the building in New York that first year that we were there. As soon as we got the wood stove in the building, it had gotten too cold to sleep in the camper, and we were actually in the very beginning. We were sleeping on the floor until the rooms got built and I got the bed set up and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that was all part of that. But and just like I did, you're going to have to upgrade a couple years, so you might want to save your pennies. It's worth it, though, if you stay independent. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, again, figuring out what works, figuring out what doesn't work. Like I said, I've told you guys before, if you plan on doing an off-grid system, I'm going to encourage you from day one to spend the extra money and go with a 48-volt system. Much, much better, much more efficient. It's going to cost you, right? But if you continue to pay that monthly bill every month, it's going to cost you that way too. I can remember we had an exceptionally cold January. This is when I was still on grid. We had an exceptionally cold January. Now, our monthly bills at that point in time, this is many, many eons ago, because I've been off grid now for 9 years, but kids were little. We were living in the house. Our bill was right around 200, maybe 300 in the wintertime, in that range because of, having to use more to keep everything warm. And that was before we had a wood stove or anything like that. Well, what ended up happening was we got a bill that January. It had been a really, really cold January, and everybody got this bill in January. The bill comes in, and our bill was $800. Is when we were, used to maybe 300 max out in the wintertime, and in the summer it was a lot less. It was insane. It was like, and people were losing their minds. I mean, losing their minds. If you make the investment into your solar, you don't have that issue. You just don't, you know. And it's a commitment. I will tell you, if you're gonna heat with wood or if you're gonna heat with propane, you want to do it or have that wood stove and have a propane backup. Not a bad idea either. But these are all things that are going to happen. Things are always going to happen. But LED lighting and the pitfalls of power quality issues. Yeah, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be problems. But what you are seeing going on, so we're going to kind of steer back on track. What you're seeing going on right now with the government, with you need to change this. This has to be changed. That has to be changed. It's all about control. And again, I want you to think about this. If you have a propane stove in your apartment, you're in an apartment building, you're in New York City, right? Power goes out. Most likely you can still get that propane stove to work. I don't know exactly how that works, but the propane should still be going. So you should be able to light that to at least stay warm, right, in your apartment. I don't know if you have to have electricity for the wood stove or gas stove. I don't know, because I haven't had that, so I don't remember, to be honest with you, because I always had electric stoves. I don't know how that works, but anyway, if you had the gas stove, you could still stay warm. With all electric stuff, when the power goes out, you're not going to have anything. That's a fact. That I know for sure, 100%. You're not going to be able to stay warm that way. Again, that sets you up for failure. The new gas stoves, you need electric. The old ones, you don't. Okay, yeah, and that was what I thought, Village Homestead. I wasn't sure. So yeah, because I was thinking, all right, well, I appreciate you saying that. So the old wood stoves, you didn't need electric for. So if the power did go out, you could still fire up that electric stove, keep the door of the oven open, and you could at least be partially warm and not freeze to death. So thank you for clarity. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember. So the problem is now with what they're doing is they're controlling everything. If they were upgrading the power grid, right? If they were focusing on that instead of light bulbs, I mean, I want you to think about that. This is the focus. We're going to reduce this, we're reducing that to have more of a dependence on the grid. That's what it comes down to. All these new buildings, they have to be all electric, so you can't have the gas wood stoves in them. I think if it's more than 3 stories, I think that's what it is. I think that's the rule, and we're talking about New York, guys. Okay, so let's be clear. The new legislation in New York, I think if it's more than 3 stories, it has to be all electric. Okay, uh, smaller ones, I think you can still go with a gas stove in there, but again, we're not focusing on the grid. updating the grid, hardening the grid. Our power grid, and I've said this before, if you get a new gas stove like we have, when the power goes out, turn on the stove, light your Bic lighter, and it light the stove. Oh, it's lit that way? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I didn't, yeah, I couldn't remember. Because, like I said, it's been forever since I had to do that. Now, this stove here obviously is a propane stove, but as long as I'm hooked up and I got my propane tanks going, I'm good to go. You know, if they are not going to fix this grid, we're going to be in big trouble, especially if they continue to push this whole green thing. And they are. They absolutely are. But at the end of the day, it's about control. It's absolutely about control. I mean, um, you think about when you have your power bill comes in, right? For your gas and electric bill comes in, and let's say you don't pay it. They send you the notice. If you don't pay as of XYZ, we shut you off. Once they shut you off, right, now your house becomes condemned, because if you live in this town, that town, the city, wherever the case may be, in a lot of these jurisdictions, they have it in the codes that you have to be having power, and if you're not hooked up, then you're in violation, and they condemn your home. So now you'll lose your home. You're going to be evicted from your home because you're not hooked up. You haven't paid your bill, so you're caught. You're caught in that never-ending cycle, and they control you. I talked to somebody, and a lot of these folks, they think, oh yeah, I'm going to go solar. I'm going to do solar, and all that, and that's great. And I think more people going solar. I think it's fantastic. But these companies are working hand in hand with the power companies. So they'll tell you, you decide, hey, I'm going to go green, right? I'm going to have solar panels, and I'm going to, do this type of thing. And so they'll come in, they'll give you the estimate. It's going to cost you this much money for us to install this system. It's going to be a grid tied system, and you'll sell back, your excess power to them, and whatever the case may be. Uh, Back in New York, on the other side of the valley, there was a gentleman over there, and I've discussed this before. He had 56 250-watt solar panels, right? So he had that, and he would sell his excess power back to the grid. But every month, he got a bill for the line charge, the connection fee, and it was in I think it was like $43 a month he got a bill for. So because he had such a large array, he had three different racks with panels on it. Once a year, they would send him a check of any excess that he had used. Okay, so I think he ended up. I believe it was like $7,800 a year. He paid almost $80,000 for his solar system. The only problem is when the grid went down, his system went down. He had no power. So to me, and what I had told him, and I would tell anybody, if you're thinking about doing that and you want to be grid tied, make sure you have a transfer switch. They can put it in for you. The people that are installing it have your own battery bank as a backup. So when the power goes out, you flip that transfer switch, and all your power is going into your batteries, and not back to feeding the system. But when the system's down, none of that power you're creating is going there anyway. So, that's what I would suggest. That's my suggestion. You can do whatever you want to do. I will tell you right now, me individually, I will never be grid tied, ever, because they will not own me. They will not control me. I'm going to be as independent as I possibly can be. And, where I'm at now, I'm so far out anyway, I would have to pay them to bring power lines out here to get to my property anyway, which I don't want. So who cares? Okay. But it's always, and I want you to think about this, guys. These politicians, right, that are making up these laws, and all this, and it's supposed to be for our safety and all this and type of stuff. 9 times out of 10, their hand is in the pocket of big business, whatever big business. So if you guys remember when Bush did the legislation about bankruptcies, I don't know if you guys remember that. Bush Jr. I think it was Bush. Was it Bush Jr. or Bush Sr.? It was one of the two, and I can't remember which one it was. But they did all this legislation so that you couldn't do just full bankruptcy anymore. You had to do it, a different way. You just couldn't walk away from that debt anymore. So they changed it, which protected the banks. Okay, they changed it, and that's one of the tools that they use. So and he had a lot of interest, a lot of stock, and all those type of. I think it was senior. Okay, Don, thank you. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was senior, but they were all in there together. They're in bed together. When you look at what just happened here, what we just went through a couple, uh, the last couple of years, how many politicians were either getting huge donations, campaign contributions from big pharma, and how many of these politicians had a stake in these different companies, right? These pharmaceutical companies, big hand in it, right? So, is that are they doing something for your best interest, or are they doing something for their own best interest? That's a question, right? I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just saying it. I find it fascinating that when legislation gets passed and we're going to do this or we're going to do that, and it benefits company XYZ, and half these politicians or more have they got their hand in that pocket of that company. So and it's not for your own good at that point. So and that's just my opinion. And I'm not calling out any company by saying, I'm just saying any company. When you have a vested interest as a politician for that company to do well, that's not independent on your part. You're not doing what's best for the people. You're doing what's best for you or your own interest. Because if let's just go with Big Pharma XYZ, the Big Pharma XYZ company, right? You have them giving you huge contributions to your campaign, and now they've come up with this miracle thing that's going to save everybody, and they want you to push it through. They want you to get in there and be like, hey, yes, this is what we need to do. It's in their best interest that it happens as well, because if they don't do what they're told by company XYZ, that funding, those contributions, they're going away. So that's all part of it. That is all part of it. So it's always about control. And when the politicians are in bed with big business, your interests are not the ones that are going to get taken care of. The rich friends are going to get taken care of. The special interest groups that are getting these politicians elected, the politicians that have inside information about what's coming up, and so they can have, hey, relative, cousin Jim, listen, man, go buy stock in this company and buy a bunch of it because it's going to take off. You don't think that they knew that Pfizer and Moderna, I'm talking to politicians here, guys, uh, Pfizer Moderna was going to, make astronomical profits off of this, vaccination, right? So you don't, now maybe they can't do it themselves. It's just like, okay, all right, this is politician double speak, and I'll give you a great example. So they were talking to John Kerry and had him in front of Congress, and they were saying, well, you're flying around on a private jet for all these meetings, telling us you wanting to take away our gas powered cars and and all that type of stuff, and trying to force us to go electric, but you're jamming around on this private jet. He goes, I don't own a private jet. I don't have a private jet. And they went, one of the politicians goes, well, wait a minute, Mr. Kerry, you do have a private jet, or you did before you just sold it. Oh, well, that was my wife's private jet. Oh, so you never rode in that private jet? It was just your wife's private jet? I mean, they're so hypocritical, in my opinion, and so full of crap in most cases, not in all. So you see how I do that? I'm not calling all politicians full of crap. Just seems like a lot of them are. Okay. And they're hypocrites. You know what I mean? They're hypocrites. And so, when there's a vested interest, I'm telling you, absolutely, JJ, the standard. Do as I say, not as I do. Look at the what was going on over in the UK, and we'll use the UK because I'm always bashing. I bash Canada a lot because of Trudeau, but that's deserved because Trudeau's an idiot too. Just like I bash our esteemed president because he's an idiot also. Let's go over across the pond and talk about the UK. And you had Boris Johnson having parties, right? They were having all these big old parties when everybody else is all masked up and they can't go anywhere and they can't do this and they can't do that. But they're having, these great big parties and it got found out, right? Well, that was the end of that. And that was the end of Boris Johnson as far as, being the prime minister over there. So hypocrites, absolutely 100% hypocrites. And it happens all the time, you know. And yeah, oh, absolutely, it happened here too. Absolutely, but I'm just saying that was one that got called out and he got caught. You know what I mean? So sounds like the Canada's deputy prime minister. I don't drive anywhere. I take transit or walk. Meanwhile, the records came out about her chauffeur and car service. Yeah, imagine that. Yeah. So Trudeau is a single man soon. Why is his wife filed for divorce? Yeah, I didn't know he was a man. You don't act like a man. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done too inside when everybody else had to be outside. I mean, it's just it's that, like I said again. Oh, they're separating. Well, you can't blame her. She probably wants a real man. Craziness, though. I wouldn't wish divorce on anybody because it's not a fun thing to deal with or go through, especially when you have children. I know they have children, so um, you know. But yeah, Newsom was out dining too. How about oh God, who was the mayor? Bloomberg, was it Bloomberg at the time? Dancing with his wife in Times Square, and everybody else was told they couldn't go out. I mean, it's just it amazes me. Yeah, the New York City mayor. Yeah, yeah. Wasn't it Bloomberg? So yeah, I just, like I said, to me, I take it all with a grain of salt. I'm going to continue to live my life. I'm not going to restrict my life because, that's just the way I ended up doing. Bloomberg never. Oh, so who was it? Who was the one? It wasn't. Who was the one in New York City? I can't think of what his name was then. Somebody's got to know who I'm talking about. No, it wasn't Adams. No, not Village Homestead. It wasn't Mayor Adams that did that. It was he was a white politician and his wife De Blasio. That's the one. Yes, Don Hill. Thank you. It was De Blasio. Appreciate that. Yep, that was the one I'm thinking of. It's just like I said, the hypocrisy, it knows no end when they're telling you what you have to do, and then they just go ahead and do whatever they want to do. And like, yeah, the Michigan governor went down to Florida on vacation because down in Florida they weren't making everybody do all that. So just crazy. So anyway, so that's that. Yeah, it's just it never ends. But again, if you're not going to live up to the standards of you expect the rest of us to live up to the standards of, why should we? So almost prep rebel. Relax, we got another minute. Whitmore should have stayed there. No one wants her. That's what amazes me with a lot of these politicians. They get in office and they just stay and stay and stay. Who was uh who was the politician in Baltimore that got caught doing crack cocaine? The politician, I can't remember who he was. They kicked him out, and he got reelected. He got brought back in. He got to be I think it was like the mayor again, something like that. I don't even remember. But you know, yeah, was it the mayor of D.C.? I don't remember. I thought it was Baltimore. I thought it was the city of Baltimore. I could be mistaken. I mean, there's so much corruption; it's like beyond ridiculous. Marion Barry. Thank you, Robert. Yes, that's the one. Yep, that's the one. It was DC. Okay. So, all right. Yeah, guys, if you're putting up guesses for the egg count, I haven't even said it yet. So, it's not counting whatever your guesses are. Was Marion Barry DC or was it Baltimore? Yeah, Toronto it happened to too, and that was with it was DC. Okay. Who was the one in Ford? Ford was the one up in Toronto. Yep. I remember that one too. So, unbelievable. Just unbelievable. All right, let's go ahead and what are we at? 309 in the chat. We're at 193 in the thumbs up. So again, if you have not shot a thumb up yet, I'm going to ask you to do so to show support for the channel, and thank you ahead of time. Also, it really does make a big difference with the algorithm. So the more interaction, the better it is for the channel. So I thank you for that reason as well. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And thank you ahead of time. All right, so let's do egg count. How many eggs today? And yes or no for Miss Thickneck. Let's go now. Now you can guess. Give you guys a minute to get your guesses up there. All right. If you have the same guess as, let me just double check here. I want to make sure I try to say her name right. Probably not going to. Where is it? Hold on, guys. It's going to be a first-time winner too, by the way. All right. If you had the same exact guess as Teresa Backhannon, I probably said that wrong, with 4 eggs and no for Miss Thickneck, then you are 100% correct. So, Teresa Backhannon, you are the winner. You've won absolutely nothing. So, congratulations, except for bragging rights until the next live stream. So, only 4 eggs today, and Miss Thickneck did not lay. So, anyway, when you were seeing, let's get back on topic, right? If you when you are seeing more and more laws being passed that benefit big business, that benefit the politicians, that take away more of your rights away, and you are being manipulated uh, through the media, through all those type of avenues, and certain things are talked about and other things are not talked about, right? So when they talk about, let's put up let's gun violence, right? They talk about, oh my God, gun violence. 48,000 people a year die of gun violence, right? That's too high. That shouldn't be happening. But half of those are suicides. Now, People kill themselves a whole bunch of other ways as well. Pills, hanging, carbon monoxide, jumping off bridges and buildings. I mean, you name it. Cut their wrist with a knife. You name it, they do it. Suicide by police happens all the time, right? So 24,000, let's say, die by gun violence every year in the United States. And this is a number that we talked about before. But yet, 371,000 people every year die because of mistakes made by medical professionals. Another, almost 400,000 are injured because of mistakes made by medical professionals. Why are people not more up in arms? I mean, let's do the math. 28,000, right? 371,000. That's every year. Where is the outcry? Where is the, demanding change? Where is people saying doctors need to have a certain amount of rest? They shouldn't be working 16, 18 hours a day. You know, uh, that is, that's a reality. When you're overtired, you've worked too many shifts, you're working too many hours, you are not thinking clearly, and mistakes happen. It happens all the time. Nurses make mistakes all the time. Doctors make mistakes all the time. So my MD fired me last week. I think he was very stressed, and that's a lot of it too. There's a lot of pressure on them. And and people say, oh well, doctors get paid so much money and blah blah blah. Yeah, they do. They get paid a lot of money, but they also went to school for a day, and they have huge debts that they're trying to pay off. And it's unless you get into like a specialty, like if you're a plastic surgeon and you're like the greatest latest thing in plastic surgeon, uh, you know, I mean, you look at plastic surgery. Let's talk about that, right? You had Joan Rivers. She's one that went under the knife for plastic surgery to do whatever she was going to get done, and she died. She wasn't meant to die that way, but that's what happened. Mistakes happen. But you are not seeing that outcry. You're not seeing that covered in the press. They're not covering that. They're not talking about that. Why not? When you have that many more people dying, right? Why not? Why are they not talking about that more? And that changes need to be made. That nurses shouldn't be working 16-hour shifts and then go home and sleep for 4 hours and get up and come back and do another 16-hour shift. You are not functioning at your peak capacity when you are overtired, when you are overworked, when you are stressed beyond belief. You have, lights going off. This one wants this one wants that. Now you have an emergency happening. Been there, done it, guys. I know. So I'm not talking from a position where I don't know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Ma Bear says nurses shouldn't work 12-hour shifts. It's dangerous. 12 is actually not bad. 12 you could do. They shouldn't be doing 16s, though. They shouldn't be doing 16s. Yeah, that's what happened with the Exxon Valdez. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, 16 is dangerous. 16 is too much because, you could do 12. You can still go home, get a decent night's sleep, and then get up and do another 12. I know a lot of people who do. I know a lot of people that do, 3 12s and then they're off for four. They do that. They do a rotation like that, and that's not bad because you have time to recover. You got time to get back right. I know a lot of CNAs. Now, see, they couldn't see. Here's the other thing. Now, with nursing, this is New York State again. So I'm making clear what I'm talking about. New York State, they could not mandate nurses to work 16 hours. They could not. So they could ask you to work, either another or work another shift. They could ask you. You could not be mandated. But unfortunately, guess who could be mandated? The CNAs, and they are worked to death. Worked to death. So they would mandate them constantly, and they would have a rotation. But if you got 30 CNAs, right? If you got 30 CNAs in the building, and you're short staffed, every day, and now you're having, you got 3 shifts of CNAs, and you got, some of you got 10 on this shift and 10 on that shift and 10 on the other shift. I'm just making a number up. I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but if somebody don't show up, there's somebody's going to get stuck, and that's what they do to these CNAs. So yeah, Dr. Kevorkian lost a lot of patients. He did. So, but yeah, truck drivers can't drive over 8 hours without a break. They used to be able to. They would do a lot, and again, overtired, not thinking clearly, mistakes happen, accidents happen constantly. But so when you hear this uproar, right, about that, but you're hearing nothing about the other, that's an issue to me. That's an issue to me. So yeah, it's just how about 250 for a goal? Yeah, well, we could do that, Okie Forge. So Okie Forge wants the goal to be 250 thumbs up. We're at 220 right now, so that would be 30 more. So let's see if we can get 30 more thumbs up and hit that 250 mark. Just because why not? So our new doctors start at less than 140,000 per year. Yeah, and they have huge debt coming out of medical school. Huge debt. The problem is we don't have enough people to work. Actually, that's kind of almost a misstatement, Village Homestead. You're right to a point, but we don't have enough people that are willing to work. Okay, not we don't have enough that to work. We don't have enough people willing to work because we now live in a society where a lot of people want something for nothing, or they don't want to do anything hard. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't feel like, Yes, actually, I just saw that Yellow Trucking just shut down 99 years. 99 years. Village Home said new docs only want to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, no after hours or weekends. Well, I'm going to tell you what, being in the nursing profession, you know, we worked every other weekend. It wasn't an option. It wasn't like you could or couldn't. You had to work every other weekend because sick people that need to be taken care of, they need to be taken care of 7 days a week. So that's how that kind of goes. But you know, Ed, what happens to the rich when the whole country goes under? Well, then they're going to find out. Then they're going to find out all that money that they got. It's not going to be worth squat. But I will tell you this: I think a lot of those rich folks, if they have, and a lot of them are. So let's make sure of something here, guys. A lot of rich people are stupid. Yes, I agree with you. They make stupid choices. They do stupid things. But a lot of rich people are very, very smart. They didn't get rich by being stupid. They got rich by being smart. And I think a lot of those folks, they're ready. They're prepared. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I honestly believe that there is a lot more preppers out there than you would think. I think there's a lot more preppers out there than you would think. And some people just don't talk about it. Uh, I'll just put it like this: the guy that I had a conversation with about the motorcycles, and I won't tell you who he is, but I was having a conversation with him, and I said to him, I go, I know you prep, and he looked at me just and he knew I knew, right? But he went like this. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. So you know, yeah, some don't advertise it on YouTube. Yeah, well, no kidding, Joe. You know, but the thing is, if you don't have some people coming on YouTube, Joe, to try to help people, try to wake people up, show people what is possible, they're never going to know. So you know, they're never going to know. And I will tell you this: I think that putting yourself out there, do you put a target on yourself? Absolutely, 100%. Yes, I absolutely agree that you definitely put a target on your back, right? But at the same time, I have met through the years of doing YouTube, and I've been on since 2011, okay? Through the years of doing YouTube, I have met so many awesome, wonderful people that I can't even begin to tell you. In getting together and talking with like-minded people, it helps you realize that no, you're not crazy for wanting to prep to be ready. Uh, that it validates, I guess, right? That what you're doing, what you're doing is important. If you're prepping and getting ready, what you're doing is important. But I think with you know again, the amount of people that I've met, the that have sharing ideas, working together, being able to sit down and have a conversation with people that are on the same wavelength as you are, and not have people look at you like you have three heads and that you're out of your mind. I think that is, I think that that's important. I really do. And, the more that we can come together, it's so funny because we're such a small niche group. Preppers are. We're a small niche group. We really truly are. We're, like I said again, and I've said this a million and one times, but I'm going to say it again right now. 95% of people are not prepared for a 2-week disaster. That is the majority of the people in this country. So that kind of gives you an idea of that small percentage of people that actually do prep. And a lot of those people that have a 2-week supply, they don't have anything else. So Richard Ruckman, Ed, if it was not for you, I would have not have known about prepping. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I'm glad that you're prepping now. Like I said, again, my biggest thing for all of you guys, I don't want you to be victims. I don't want you to have to stand in that line with 2,000 of your closest friends waiting for your soup handout from the government. You know, if you are prepping for yourselves and your family and you're taking care of your business, uh, Ed was the first prepper I watched on YouTube. Thanks, Ed. East Tennessee Preparedness. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do. So, you know, if you are getting ready, that's a victim out there. And I think that's hugely important. And I think that we need to think about those things. And so that's why, you know what? Yeah, I put myself out here. You guys know my story, right? I've had CPS called on me twice. I've been swatted. I have had the town called on me, you know, all that stuff. All that stuff has happened. People, the crap with the dog, I mean, we could just go on and on of people trying to cause problems because either they don't like what I'm doing or they're jealous of what I'm doing, and those type of things. But that small percentage of a-holes that are out there doesn't even come in comparison with all the wonderful people that I've met through the years. So I'm not stopping. All right, shout out time. We're going to start out with Heavenly Hills Homestead. That's a video I just did the other day. So check out his channel and really good. He grows vegetables, grows giant vegetables. Really interesting to watch. There is Icky Can up in Canada. He has been living off grid almost as long as I have. I think he's got 1 year less than me. So he's been doing it for a long time as well now. But real good guy. Definitely go show him some support as well. You have Angry Prepper. That is Jason uh, down in New York City. Real good guy again. Very squared away. Definitely show him some support. You have Alaska Prepper. That is Rudy. Real good guy as well. I like Rudy quite a bit. I think he's very squared away. There is Alaska Granny. You have Sean James with the Sean James channel and my Self Reliance, 2 different channels. Same guy, building up in Canada. Amazing to watch him build, and he's really squared away. There is Demcad. You have Corporal's Corner. There is Bjorn Hansen. You have 80K Man up in the Adirondacks in New York. There is Bizariza Jizza, who does the Carrington Chronicles, a really interesting story. Definitely check that out. A lot of good information with that you can get out of the story. Okay. Let's see, where are we? There is Marfugal News. That's Adam and Dax out on the West Coast in Seattle, doing their thing out there. We have Magic Prepper in North Dakota. There is Wranglestar. That is Cody. Real good guy. Great channel. A lot of good information. Definitely check him out as well. Let's see. Red Poppy Ranch. You have Survival Lily coming at you out of Europe. Real good stuff with her as well. And it's interesting to see the the difference with the prepping community in Europe and the prepping community in the States. There is Kyle's Cabin with Kyle and Sierra doing their thing up in Minnesota. Nice young couple up there. There is Bush Radical and Girl in the Woods. Husband wife team, two different channels. Definitely check them out as well. Real good people. They split their time between Michigan and Alaska. A lot of good stuff on their channels. You have Green Greg's, like Green Greg's as well. You have Southern Prepper 1 with his Boots on the Ground series. A lot of good information with him as well. Let's see. We have Gray Man Prepping. Here's St. Bernard Acres with Joe. You have Doug and Stacy, another very well-established channel. They've been around a long time. Definitely check them out as well. A lot of good information on their channel. There is the Nomadic Movement. They're down in Panama. Nice young couple down there. So definitely check them out as well. The Green Dream Project out in Arizona, doing living off grid in the desert and showing you how to do it. Very, very cool to watch them. There is Camping with Steve. That's Steve Wallace. He does stealth camping, so very interesting to watch what he does there. Bush Doctor Survival. You have Monkey Works. You have the Needy Homesteader. She's been around for a very long time. Very cool as well. There is Boss of the Swamp. Again, been around a long time. Unbelievable builder. Fun to watch what he does. There is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Diamond is a very smart guy. Gives you all the information over the Grand Solar Minimum. So definitely check that out as well. You have Patera with the Appalachian Homestead. Another one that says it like it is, and I respect that. I like that. You have City Prepper. There is Lumina Acres. You have Suspicious Observer. Really interesting channel as well. Shows you everything that's going on with the sun and everything else. There is Bear Independent. You have the Uneducated Economist. There is Bushcraft Bear in the Canary Islands of La Palma. Really cool as well, like his stuff. And when the volcano was going on, he was giving you twice a day updates, which I thought was really cool. There is Mary Greeley News. She's giving you all the latest updates and information, what's going on with Yellowstone and all that type of stuff, which I think is really interesting. You have Adapt 2030. There's Malachi's Corner. You have Ice Age Farmer. If you're going to get your weather, there's only one guy you should be getting your weather from, and that is Ryan Hall, y'all. Ryan Hall is a great guy, very passionate about the weather, but he gives back to the community in a huge way as well, which is amazing. You have Russell Brand. I like Russell Brand as well. He gives you the information. He lets you decide what you want to do with it, which I think is awesome. Let's see. There is Deep South Homestead, another really good channel. The Outsider up in Maine. You have the Fit Farmer. There is Prep Rebel. Simple Life Reclaimed. There is Townsend showing you what it's like to live back in the 1800s. You have the Prepared Mind. There's Pinball Preparedness down in Tennessee. East Tennessee Preparedness. The Economic Ninja. And last but not least, Little House Off Gritty. They are also down in Tennessee. A lot of good channels. I know you guys have put other channels that you like in the chat as well, which is absolutely fine. Hey, Philip, I see you're in the chat tonight, so good to see you here. Coming from Melbourne, Australia. Good day. But again, a lot of good information, a lot of good channels. I think we should be supporting each other. I think that that's important to do. So I would encourage you to do that. And like I said, looking at other people's perspectives, nobody thinks the same. So to look at, different ideas and different views, I think is really, really cool. So that's just my take on it. So we're at 255. So we blew through that. Let's shoot for 275. That gives us 20 more thumbs up. We got like 10 minutes to go in the stream, guys. Let's see if we can hit another. Let's hit 275. So we need 20 more thumbs up. Here's my girl. I'm gonna come up and say hi. Come on up and say hi to everybody. That's a good girl. Oh my God, guys! I was brushing her today, and just so you know, German Shepherd only shed twice a year. In both times, it lasts for 6 months. So that's all. So very easy, very low maintenance dog. That's, very simple to take care of. Uh, so I was brushing her today, and I got like 5 brushfuls. I mean, full. Like when I pulled it out, I had like a handful of hair. I could brush her again right now and get that same amount again. She's just she is a shedding machine. So, but anyway, all right. But yeah, so like I said again, I do believe we should be supporting each other. I think that that's important. Very good girl. Do I get a kiss? Kiss. Thank you. This is the most awesome dog. And people say, "Oh, I stop talking about your dog." I don't care. It's the best dog that I've ever had in my entire life, and I love the crap out of her. And she is as loyal as the day is long. So that's all I got to say about that. You're gonna give us babies? Huh? We're gonna get you knocked up and have some German Shepherd puppies? Yeah, yeah. Uh, Talk all you want about Hella. We love her. Well, thank you, Don. I appreciate that. Yeah, she is. I mean, she's great companionship. She hears everything. So I mean, she'll hear stuff that I don't hear. So, but yeah, she's a good puppy. All right, let's do this. We are legion. We are many. We are all over the world. And not the bad biblical legion, the good legion. Where is everybody from tonight? We got Franklin County, Ohio. There is Philip from Melbourne, Australia, once again. We have Larry in Omaha, Nebraska. Nowhere, Oklahoma with Okie Forge. Northern Virginia with Robert. Brick in Pennsylvania. Connecticut with Awesome Sauce. BC, Canada with Janet. The UP of Michigan with Janet. Clyde in Inverness, Florida. Edgewater, Florida with Judy. We have Virginia. Louisiana's in the house. Central New York with Village Homestead. Greenlee County, Arizona with Codster. Bonniesville, Illinois with Nostradamus. We have Ozark Hillbilly in Arkansas with Randall. East Central Illinois with Lana. South Carolina with Jess. We got Oregon in the house with Jax. Brian, the Bath area in England in the UK. Glad to have you here, and thanks for staying up late. Waterloo, New York with Sharon. Puerto Rico's in the house with Esmil. Glad to have you here. Connecticut. We have Juniper, Florida. Yeah, Numbskull, Florida. Yeah, I bet your skull is numb, JJ. Palatico, Idaho with Janita. Canton, Ohio with Chad. Central New York with Micro. We have Cape Cod, Mass. Birdsboro, Pennsylvania with Melissa. South Carolina with Southern Homestead. We already said Dawn up in the UP of Michigan. So we got Dallas, Texas is in the house with Beards and Beans. High Price, Minnesota with Michael. So yeah, guys are all over the country. We're all over the world. Um, we're a huge network of people. We're the ones that are awake. Uh, you know, we're awake. We can help people now to try to wake them up if we can, which would be great. Hopefully. And if we can't, we're going to make a difference afterwards by helping people after an event, teaching them. So yeah, if we were all together and had like a compound, could you imagine what we could be? The craziest thing about that idea, and I know people, oh, that's a commune and blah blah blah. But if you had a whole bunch of like-minded people all living together, working together, had the common interest of other people in the group at heart, imagine what you could accomplish. Imagine what you could do. You know. So we got Southwest Ontario, Canada with Julie. So that would be wonderful to see. I would love to see that. So we're at 265. We need 10 more thumbs up, guys. 10 more to hit 275. Yeah, team together. Everyone achieves more. I'm going to tell you, and I know I talk about my group a lot, and I rave on my group a lot, okay? And I'm going to continue to do that. But I will tell you, and I will say it over and over and over again. We would not be where we are on property here in West Virginia if it wasn't for the group and everybody working together. Sweat, blood, and tears. A lot of work has gone into what we've already done here, and I think when I actually sit back and I look at what we've accomplished, we got a lot done. We continue to grow, which is awesome as well, and bringing in more people and and getting things squared away, and it's just going to get better. I mean, once we have the pavilion completely squared away, then it's on to the next project. You know what I mean? And so we don't have to do that again because it'll be done. And so, that's just something that I think a lot of people don't think about. And it's something simple, you know. You kick those checklists. I mean, look what we did with the road this year. How much we have got the road squared away, and it's what a difference. I mean, it is night and day. uh, you know those people that have been in the group and know when they came in last year, and in the spring, and they got stuck, and Ronnie pulled out 3 or 4 people out of the mud. I mean, that's not a concern anymore because that's been taken care of. So just something is simple, if you want to call it simple, is that wasn't simple and it was expensive, but getting that road squared away was huge, and it's coming together, and it's amazing to see the progress, and it's going to continue that way, which is great. And then when the time comes, and we all have to come together, we're going to have something to work with and something to say, hey, you know what? Look, we put ourselves in this situation where we're in good shape now, where most people are not going to be. Again, there's going to be a ton of victims out there, and I don't want you guys being victims. I really don't. I want you to survive whatever's going to happen, all right, because I think that that's important. I really, really do. I want to thank my moderators who do an absolutely fantastic job keeping this chat clean. I appreciate everything that you guys do. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen that moderate for me. It means a lot. It really does, because I don't have to worry about watching the chat. You guys take care of it, and it's just that's awesome. I try to answer questions, guys. I try to get as many as I can. I appreciate the support from all of you being here, watching the channel, being part of this, taking part in everything that we're doing. It really does mean a lot to me as well. I enjoy these chats. I really, really do. You know what I mean? So, Steve's come out on the 8th. Oh, that's cool, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. So, uh, but keep watching, guys. We're gonna do nothing. Things are gonna do nothing but get better as we get things squared away. Getting the wood stove put together, getting the walls up this month. This month, the wall, the back walls are getting done. The 2 sides and the back wall. That's going to be going up this month, and we're gonna get there, and things are gonna get done. And then next month we'll plan what we're working on, because we sit down and we have meetings and we talk about it, and we decide what we're gonna do. And it really does make a big, big difference. It really, truly does. So anyway, remember, folks, we truly are all in this together. We are one race called the human race. As soon as we can figure that one out, we truly will be in much, much better shape. We have to stop letting them divide us. They use race, religion, political affiliation. That's all nonsense. It means nothing. We got to come together as human beings, work together, and set goals, make them happen, and make life better. That's that. If we ever came together, the powers that be would shake in their boots. They really would. So, but we had 275, so there we go. We hit our goal, which is awesome. So thank you guys for that as well. Also, remember, guys, hug and kiss the ones that you love. Tell them every single day tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen in life, so it's really important to tell the people that we care about. So it's make sure you tell the people that you love every day how you feel. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. That is one thing that is for sure. Got here late. We'll reround. Just wanted to say hi and tell everyone you're doing a great job. Well, thank you, man. Thank you, Traveler. I appreciate that. So, also, guys, remember, most important, STD, step, thing, and day. one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you are trying to do, whatever you are trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from achieving your goals is you. That's it, nobody else. Stay positive, stay away from that negativity, and you're going to be just fine. All right? Set realistic goals and then set about to making them happen. And man, I'll tell you what, before you know it, it gets done. You know, Steve and I were sitting in the pavilion today, okay? Had a nice breeze coming through, and we're in the shade with a nice breeze. It was awesome. It was actually today was International Beer Day, so we sat in there and we had a beer together, and so that's what we did. So anyway, guys, please be safe. Keep prepping. Keep getting ready. Very, very important. Okay. I will talk to you all later. Prepper Nurse One out for now.